and welcome to Holiday Romance in ConTinual. I'm your host, Gail Z Martin and Morgan Bryce, and today we're going to be talking with a number of authors about the holiday romances they write, the holiday romances they love, and holiday romance in particular. So let's go through and have everybody give their introduction, starting with RJ.
Hi, I'm RJ Scott. I'm the author of probably, 140 odd romances. My first Christmas romance I wrote was The Christmas Throwaway, which is now 10 years old. And I don't think I've missed a Christmas since. So I have quite a backlist of Christmas books. One of my favourite Christmas authors is Eli Easton. I would reread her books over and over again. And Ms. Locey down there as well with her Christmas, well, they're all called Christmas something, and we're on to book 2 this year. And also we co-author hockey books, and we have quite a few Christmas hockey books as well. And I love Hallmark movies. I'm a complete sap, and I love Happy Ever After. So that's me.
Awesome. Rachel?
I'm actually not an author. I am a PA for Vicky and RJ, and I'm a huge Christmas book fan, and love everything about Hallmark films. All the old classics as well, you know, White Christmas. Yeah, that's me.
Great. Eli?
I'm Eli Easton, and I've been writing romance since 2013, I think. And my first Christmas romance was Blame It on the Mistletoe, which I think came out in 2013. And I've written one ever since, although this year I will have just some audiobooks and a short story out for Christmas. But yeah, I love it. I gorge myself on holiday romances. Starting after Halloween, which I'm a big Halloween fan too. And I love to read them and I love to write them. So, yeah. Great.
And Vicky?
Hi, I'm Vicky Locey. I write under the super secret moniker of VL Locey, because nobody will know it's me. I have about, I guess at last count, it was over 50 books. I lose count. I've got quite a few Christmas ones out, solo books, and some that I've written with RJ, which are hockey books. Yeah, I love Christmas. I love decorating the tree. One of my favorite holiday traditions that I think I've passed down to my daughter is decorating the tree to Elvis's Christmas album. And my mother passed that to me, and I passed it to my daughter, and hopefully she will pass it to somebody else. So yeah, I love Christmas.
Awesome. And I'm Gail Z Martin and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic fantasy, urban fantasy, steampunk, and more. And more germane to this panel is Morgan Bryce. I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romances. So the romances I have out there, I'm way behind everybody else here. I have Lucky Town, which is a Badlands romance that takes place in Pittsburgh. And Dark Rivers is not exactly what you'd call a Christmas book, but it takes place at Christmas and definitely ends on a holiday note. Then I'm in the Christmas at Caneham Castle collection, which is multiple authors writing in a fictional castle, and my story there is tied back to my Badlands series. And then this year I've got another one coming out, The Christmas Spirit, that's tied to my Kings of the Mountain series. So I'm getting there. I have a long way to catch up on the rest of you guys, but I'm getting there. So let's take it as an author first, and then we'll come back as readers. But as an author, what is so attractive about writing a Christmas story? Why do we love doing this? I can go around the circle again, or folks can just jump in.
I think it's kind of like, Christmas time is like romance on steroids. It's kind of like what you always want in a romance, which is this sort of warm, emotional feeling. But then, like, you double that at Christmas time. I think you can get away with, Christmas romance. People want something really sappy. They want something really heartwarming and, you know, more emotional. And so I think for me, it's just an opportunity to write something even more sappy than I would normally write.
I think I tend to agree with that. And I mean, add in snow and trapped in a cabin and lost kittens and Christmas miracles, not of the religious kind, but just, you know, coming back for Christmas. You've got the businessman who has to come back and shut down the company factory, and he meets the guy who's stayed at home, and so it's just all these kind of lovely tropes. And when you pick up a Christmas book, you're guaranteed like that happy ever after, or at least happy for now, but I prefer my happy ever after. So I just love writing them.
Mm-hmm. Vicky?
Yeah, I don't know if I can really add much to what the two ladies before me have said. There is just something uniquely magical, even if you're not writing paranormal or anything, about a Christmas story. And I think a lot of it is because, you know, a lot of people are coming back home, and that adds a quality to a story that you might not find any other time of the year. And snow. Yeah, snow adds. Even though
we don't get a lot of snow. We don't get a lot of snow in England. I mean, we only have to get, I don't know, that much snow and the whole country shuts down, because we're not set up for Christmas, set up for snow at all. So when you watch holiday movies like The Holiday, you know, where they do the house swap and she ends up in the Christmas cottage and it's all snowing. No, we don't have that really. We have the cottage, and we do have snow in Scotland, and there's some snow up there, and we do have maybe 1 or 2 days of snow, but it's a bit of an event. So I'm really jealous of you guys in like Pennsylvania with all your snow. It's just not fair. I want some.
We wish we could send you some.
Yeah, I think
I just moved, so this year I won't have as much snow, but yeah, it's really romantic when it first falls, and then like the next day it's not so romantic. But
yeah, part of Pennsylvania that I grew up in is the part that Vicky's written about in her Eerie Vampires, and we used to get 100 inches of snow a year because we'd get the lake effect coming off of Lake Easton. I don't think with climate change they get that much snow anymore, and we've been in North Carolina now for a while, and so an inch of snow shuts everything down for 4 days, and we've, you know, that's a nice thing because nobody's making you go out in it like they do in Pennsylvania. But I think
it is magical, you know. That's why all the Hallmark movies have it.
Especially when it's untouched and it's perfect, and it's not, you know, it hasn't gotten dirty and it doesn't have tire tracks in it, and it's all just, you know, beautiful.
It's
I think
that moment where you're kind of where you're sitting on a chair and you've got your hot chocolate and your Kindle and you've lit some candles and it's kind of dark outside and it's very, you're kind of cozy and you're lost in a magical world, and that is just how I love my Christmas books. And you have this image. You might end up reading it on the train or in bed blasting at night, but the thought of sitting and with your hot chocolate and that's the kind of writing we want to do, because we want people to feel at the end, oh, that was really nice. So
yeah, I think the other thing for me with Christmas stories is, you know, not everybody's real life Christmas is as perfect as what we get in our books. You know, sometimes those family gatherings really aren't any fun, or you don't have someplace to go back to. And in the Christmas books, you can have all that and love too. You know, you generally have the family or the found family, you have the big dinner, you have Christmas with all the trappings, and then you also have falling in love and the snow. So
well, I think
a fantasy.
Exactly. I think what you said is, I really love it when Christmas books not only reflect that, but have a character that is finding that, you know, like Christmas Throwaway by R.J. Scott is one of my favorite books. And it's because, you know, it starts out with this young, you know, I guess he's like 18 years old.
Yeah, he's just younger. He's just too young to kind of have like the whole kind of physical side of the relationship the first year that they meet. So He's
Yeah,
just,
so but he's, he's homeless and he doesn't have a family, and it's Christmas Eve and he's freezing to death on a park bench and he's rescued by this really kind cop. And, but I really love it when someone in the book finds that family, finds that Christmas feeling through the course of the plot.
So we've got snow and family or found family and Christmas with all the trappings. What else are some of the ingredients to mix up the perfect Christmas novel? And Rachel, jump in here too, please.
Humor. I think,
Yeah.
I think you really need, it's nice to have a bit of humor. It's nice to have a bit of the sort of grumpy one and then the sunshiny one, the one who loves Christmas and the one who's like bah humbug, and getting them clashing. I love that. I think that's really good fun.
agreed.
Yeah, the holiday elf trope.
Yeah.
Elves are good. I also love it when you not only have people who are coming from, having a great Christmas, having no Christmas or whatever, but when they do meet the families, and there's also a real difference in the family. Like in Lucky Town, one of my characters has a very cold, stiff, upper class white family from the South where it's just not fun. And he goes to Pittsburgh with his fairly new boyfriend to this huge, chaotic Italian Catholic family with 10 kids and all of them are cops. And
That's perfect. That's the perfect Christmas story. That is.
So everybody, all of his older brothers kind of pick on him and he's seeing this whole new side and it's just chaos and glorious chaos. And that's kind of fun too, is getting to experience a different kind of family as well.
I think one of the ingredients that I really like is I like hurt comfort in general. A lot of my books are hurt comfort, but especially at the holiday time, that you have somebody who's, an underdog character who's finding that help. It can have a touch of Christmas magic at it. Like the book I wrote last year, Angels Sing, was kind of based on It's a Wonderful Life, but you have a character who's just really down on his luck. He's a single dad. He's very young. He's trying his best and he's struggling and he's not quite making it. And, Christmas time, there's sort of this Christmas miracle that happens where he gets the help that he needs. And so I really like that kind of, things turning around at Christmas time, hurt comfort, sort of little bit of a Christmas miracle going on.
Which is kind of what we all hope for, right? We all kind of have a Christmas miracle of our own that we'd like to see happen, I think. So it's good to see that happen.
Snow would be fab.
No. You're not getting snow, RJ. Give it up.
You did it 2010.
I also, some of my favourite Christmas books, and I go back and read them quite a lot, they're MF and they're Nora Roberts.
Yes.
We met her.
We met her in Ireland.
But yeah, and it's the Shirley Goodness and I can't remember the other one. And it's about 3 angels who come down to earth and they're all given people that they've got to help out. And it's disastrous. Everything goes wrong and they push the wrong people together and they're very funny, but they're very, very sweet. And it's these silly, funny angels that just get sent out to do these dreadful jobs. But yeah, I keep thinking I'd love somebody to write an MM version of it.
Oh, wow.
Maybe next year.
Tropes that go well with the holidays. I mentioned Hurt Comfort, which is one of my total favorites, but there's so many great tropes. How do they adapt to the holiday setting?
I like opposites attract. I like that a lot. The one I have coming out this Christmas is enemies to lovers, opposites attract, and I like that dynamic. Like in the Christmas Pundit, that's the ones that I have coming out this year. Fella comes back to a small town and he and the mayor of this tiny town in north central Pennsylvania. I don't know where I got that setting from. They did not get along as children, and he bullied this fella terribly. But with the miracle of Christmas and everything, they slowly find their way to working past their differences, which I think that's also part of Christmas, is forgiving and opening up your arms to others who you might not have at any other time of the year. That brotherhood and that love of your fellow man. So yeah, I like that trope a lot for a Christmas story.
Yeah.
How about you, RJ? Besides snow.
No, I've got a list. Well, besides snow, obviously, I've got Trapped in the Snow, Stranded Together, Forced Proximity. I mean,
Right.
that's a classic. Royalty, Secretly a Prince. We've got Back Home / Road Trip. So, you know, they're going back home, but, you know, they need a lift across country. I know somebody who's written that, and they need a lift cross country, and then they fall in love. What else have I got? Oh, Fake Relationship. That's excellent. I Need a Boyfriend for Christmas.
Yeah.
Perfect. That is. The Grinch Learns to Love Christmas. That's another one of my favourites. Christmas Magic and Fairy Tale. The Workaholic, who's all work and no play, and hasn't got time for Christmas. He hasn't got time for this nonsense. And then he breaks down and gets stranded in a cabin. I don't know, something like that. Best friend of family member. So like the brother's best friend or best friend's brother. Classic either way. Small Town Romance. Small Town Romance is on my list because there's nothing better than the Hallmark movies when you have the big city guy. No, the big city, okay, we're talking Hallmark, and as yet there hasn't been the Hallmark so far, but if you've got the girl who's got the fiance in the city and she comes back to the small town and then she falls for the guy who lives in the small town, and that kind of idea. Second Chances and Old Flames, that's on my list. Best Friends to Lovers, Celebrity and Millionaires, because you know millionaires have Christmas too. One Night Stands, anything to do with law enforcement. So if you've got cops in New York City, and last on my list is any other Christmas theme. That's my Christmas bingo this year, and I'm going to try and read a book from each of those categories because I just think they're.
And the soldier writing to the.
I don't know. You probably can't.
Soldier writing to the single mum.
No, you can't see it. Oh yeah.
We did sort of
we
did a sort of an unusual one last year or two? It was 2 years ago. RJ and our Walker and a bunch of us did a series for Christmas, which involved a traveling ornament that was sort of magical, and it traveled through the ages, and every story was that the angel would bring true love to whoever owned the ornament at Christmas time. And so that was sort of an unusual one, and I thought it was fun. It was fun to write.
I was going to ask you about series because I love The Christmas Angel. I'm a sucker for Vale Valley. Valentine's Inc. has done its Snowed In. There was the Snow Globe series last year, and I'm sure there are many, many others. But do you tend to write two series? Do you tend to write standalones? Argue the point. What do you like best?
Do you want me to go first?
Sure, jump in.
I've got I like to write a standalone every Christmas on my own because they allow me to explore characters that are completely separate to all my series books, which people are expecting. So, for example, Single Dads 4, which is out in January, I could have made that a Christmas book and had that series have a Christmas book, which I have done before with things like Texas Christmas and Snow in Montana. But I like that standalone feel, that kind of like people can just pick it up, read, and not have to know any of the characters, and they just have this just solid Christmas book. So that's my point of view. But I very often have 3 releases at Christmas where I have a series book, a standalone book, and like an anthology type book as well. So
as a reader, I prefer a standalone Christmas book, purely because I might not have read the series. And I don't want to then somebody says, oh, this Christmas book's fantastic. And then I find out that I've got to read 7 books before I can get to that book. So I quite like a novella from a series that has sort of, the characters that we know and love, and we find them all getting together at Christmas, or just 2 other, something small. But for a full-length Christmas novel, I want it to be completely standalone. Because I want to be able to pick one up, read it, put it down, get another one. Because sort of through December, that's pretty much all I'll read is Christmas books.
Now, a lot of the series that I've read, though, like the one Eli mentioned with the Angel, and some of those, they were standalones just with a common element, which kind of gets around that issue.
Yeah.
But there's something in common, whether it's the setting, like with Vale Valley, or the snow globe, or the ornament. So there's a common thread. I've discovered so many new authors as a reader reading those series that maybe I wouldn't have come across on my own, or wouldn't have come across right then. But because I'm plowing my way through the series, I discover new people and then follow them sort of home to find the rest of their work. So, that can work too, but those tend to not leave you stranded in the middle.
Yeah, I like those because, typically they just, you see a lot of books with sort of similar covers, or they're all part of the Snow Globe series, the Christmas Angel series, whatever. To me, that's exciting because it's like I have this cornucopia of potential reads there, but it's nice that they're all standalone. But I'll typically just sort of pick and choose, and it's like if there's 8 of them, I might read 2 of them, or something like that.
We've got
like anthologies too, Christmas anthologies, where, you have a compilation of 10 or 15 authors. And I've also have found many, many authors I wouldn't have read otherwise from anthologies, so I really like that. But yeah, I most of my Christmas novels are also standalone.
It's interesting.
I used to get the Dream Spinner anthologies every year, and I discovered a lot of new authors through that.
Their Advent series. Yeah.
It's kind of nice, just getting something every day.
Yeah. We did a Christmas at Kingdom Castle anthology last year, and that was 7 authors writing in the same fictional castle with the same holiday ball happening, but then we all had our own stories. So the real bear there was, okay, where are all the Christmas trees? So you don't have 30-foot trees mysteriously moving all around, the lawn, and making sure our characters didn't trip over each other. But it was a lot of fun, and we brought it back for Trick or Treat this year, just because our stories were all standalone, but they were in the same setting. So that adds to a little complexity for the authors trying to not, like I said, trip over each other. What about
we did a hockey series. We did a hockey. There was how many? It was 5 of us, wasn't there? 5 authors, and we were. It was a charity auction, a bachelor charity auction, and we all had to decide where the podium was and who was the MC, and what colour the tablecloths were, because it's like all these separate stories, but they were all happening in the same hotel. They all had to include this event, but it was really interesting, and also, we had to read all 5 stories and make sure they gelled. So.
That's always the complex part when you have those interlocking pieces. But then when it works, it can be a lot of fun for the reader, because it's like you're constantly shifting the camera perspective to see other things that are going on at the same time, and it makes the whole thing feel bigger and more real somehow. So that's kind of cool too. So we've talked a lot about, what we've written. What are some of those other favorites that you come back to? And this can be books, this can be movies. We've mentioned a few of them, TV shows. What's your must-have Christmas list?
Oh goodness, let me go first. I have sure. Okay. So as I mentioned, decorating the tree to Elvis Presley. It's not Christmas unless you listen to Elvis Presley. Stan would agree. I don't tend to my Christmas go-to shows tend to be the old animated ones that I watched as a kid. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with Burl Ives, and the Grinch, the original Grinch. Those are the kind of things that I tend to go back to every year. And it doesn't matter how many times I've seen them, and I can sing all the songs by heart. There's just something about I guess it's going back to your childhood, and when Christmas was even more magical and more wondrous than it is when you're an adult. So those tend to be my kind of holiday things that I go back to, are those kind of old Christmassy kind of kids things.
Yeah, mine's White Christmas every year. Have to watch White Christmas. We sit there, and bless him, my poor husband has had to sit and watch it for the last 20 odd years as well, every single year. I think he probably knows it word for word now as well. And then if I can manage it, I'll try and get It's a Wonderful Life in, but he doesn't really do black and white films, so we kind of struggle with that one. Always watch Scrooged, and we always, with the boys, even though they're 16 and 18 now, we will watch Home Alone and Elf, because we will just sit there and laugh and laugh and laugh all the way through. So we do love that. And then I have on in the background Christmas 24, which is the channel that we have over here. We don't get the Hallmark channel over here. But yeah, I have Christmas 24 on, just with the Christmas films on constantly all day. And I just leave that on. Christmas Day, we tend to watch a Christmas film as well, to be fair. Again, just on in the background while we're doing other things. Yeah, and they're pretty much all romances.
Yeah, we have Christmas obviously is going to be a bit different this year, but we have lots of Christmas music. I start playing Christmas music in July when I start writing my Christmas book, so it's a little bit in advance. But I have a favourite song. Do They Know It's Christmas? Do They Know It's Christmas by Greg Lake, which is my absolute favourite Christmas song, and I do love Christmas music, and I will play that for more or less on repeat for the whole of December, much to my husband's distress. There's a lot of food. I mean, you can't tell, can you, by looking at me, but there's a lot of food with special things, bits and pieces from places like Marks and Spencer, which won't mean anything to the Americans here, but Rachel understands.
Yeah.
So yeah, food mostly. And family.
How about you?
Well, some of my favorite Christmas books are RJ's Christmas Throwaway is one. Turkey in the Snow by Amy Lane is another one of my all-time favorites. I don't know why, but it's just really cute. Snow Ho by Ethan Day.
That's so funny.
Merry Gentleman by Josephine Miles.
And
The Fir Tree by Anita Sunday. I don't know how many people have read that, but it's really cute.
Yeah.
It's about this guy who has a crush on his neighbor, and he does this elaborate prank involving this fir tree. So I do tend to read a lot. I mean, probably even more than watching movies or listening to music. I will read Christmas romances through the holiday. I also love Elf, and Die Hard is another one of my favorite Christmas watches.
Definitely a Christmas.
Because I'm sort of
yeah.
And I like actually Christmas horror movies, which sounds stupid, but things like Krampus. I mean, I'm a big horror buff anyway, so I tend to sort of mix up those genres when I can. And then having Hallmark on, I just, it's what's funny about Hallmark is it's not even about the movie. It's like they've gotten more and more elaborate with their set dressing. It's just like every scene is just crammed full of like Christmas trees and Christmas ornaments and Christmas pies, and it's just almost more about the scenery, really, because a lot of their plots are very similar. But it's just, I will watch that a lot. And it doesn't even really matter so much what the movie is. It's just it's just the setting is always so Christmassy.
Mm.
But I do like the really old, sort of the older Hall of Fame ones, that where it's there's a little bit more of darkness in it. You know, I kind of, I guess that's part of the horror thing, but you know, I do like It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite Christmas stories because it does have that tinge of darkness in it that then, you know, is sort of overcome as part of the Christmas story. And I did a little bit of that in one of my books. Merry Christmas, Mr. Miggles has sort of this tragic event that happens during the book that is then sort of turned around by this holiday miracle. And so I kind of have a soft spot for those sorts of stories too. They're not as common.
Yeah, I love It's a Wonderful Life. I think one of my all-time favorites is A Christmas Carol, the George C. Scott version, and The Muppet Christmas with Michael
Right,
Caine
exactly. That's very dark.
and to all of the Muppets. You know, I want Christmas music on as early as my family will let me get away with it. So, you know, I keep pushing it further and further into early November. And I announced this year we're doing the trees early, we're doing the music early because I need a little Christmas right this very minute. But I also love the Rudolphs and the Frosties and all of those cartoons and stop motion animations that I watched as a kid. I got to haul those out. And I think my guilty pleasure, we had this tape and that we'd originally taped off Showtime, you know, back in the 80s. And then we finally were able to, they brought the shows out on their own DVDs finally after the years, but Santa's Magic Toy Bag. Okay, guilty pleasure right here. Probably nobody's seen it. It's a Muppet show, but it's about this wannabe elf who is a total screw up, and but he's very creative and he comes up with these great ideas, and he finally, you know, finds the place where he belongs, and it's just, gotta watch.
Oh, that's made it to the UK.
It's the Christmas special you mentioned, and everybody goes, huh? But that's one of our family favorites. And book wise, you know, you mentioned so many of them. I love to plow my way through those series and then go looking to see if people have other books for Christmas as well. So yeah, that's where you'll find me, is plowing through the next Snow Globes, Vale Valley, Christmas Angel, you know, all of those, because I want to see what they're going to do in the setting or with that trope next. And that to me is kind of like opening advent calendars, because ooh, wait, here's another one. But RJ, you brought up food. You know, you can't really have a holiday romance without food.
Not that I'm obsessed in any way about food.
None of us are, absolutely not. But coming back to food, how do you write food into your holiday books? What role does it play?
Oh my God, well, this Christmas, I've actually written a 70,000 word novel called Cupcakes and Christmas. And it's basically it's based around the concept of the Great British Bake Off. So you've got cakes, mostly, cupcakes, puddings, desserts, icing, snowball fights, a snowman, a hotel in the mountains in Banff near Lake Louise. So basically every single chapter has food in it of some sort. Mostly.
Oh man, I need to arc for that.
Yeah. and I mean, I think food is always, you know, the cute meat, the cute, where you have, like, you know, do you want to come up to my room and have a cake, or I'll cook you spaghetti. I can't cook much but I can cook spaghetti. That's what they often say. So it's a way of getting somebody up to your room as well, so up to your place. So yeah, I think it plays a big part.
Anybody else want to weigh in on food here?
Christmas dinner.
Memorable foods you remember from books, or things that made you want to go out and try a recipe, or recipes you've included?
Well, Christmas dinner in, obviously, Christmas books. I always like reading about what other people have for their Christmas dinners? Because
Yeah.
I always think ours is quite boring and quite, you know, turkey, potatoes, bit of beef, pigs in blankets, Yorkshire pudding, bit of gravy.
Yeah.
And that's it, job done really, isn't it? Bit of veg. And you're all right. But it's nice seeing what other people have. So yeah, I do like reading about that.
You guys have anything you want to throw in there on food and family and festivities?
I tend to like, I find myself doing this a lot when I write is, I tend to go back to what, of course, what I had as a child. And I had a lot of relatives who lived right outside of Pittsburgh. And it was a very strong Polish community. So a lot of my stories will have, like Rachel said, pigs in a blanket. We have halupkis and halupki and nut rolls. Like I can remember my great aunts working tirelessly for weeks before Christmas to make nut roll for the church to sell. So those are the kind of things that I tend to, and I bring in, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, yep, there's great Aunt JoJo's nut roll again. That seems to show up a lot.
How about you?
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't think I have a lot of food in my story, which is just kind of odd. But I mean, for me, I think it's, you know, that sense of family, you know, does come in when you have the family gathering, and, you know, it's part of that just her comfort where, you know, to me, food is about taking care of other people and about comforting other people. And, you know, it's an act of caretaking almost. And so, you know, there's a lot of that feeling, I think, in Christmas stories where it's part of showing your love for someone.
Yeah, and I think I love what Rachel said about seeing what other people do and kind of getting to be a voyeur for other people's meals. And the food is love thing, because not only can you get the found families together and invite people to your table to make sure everybody has a place to go, but I know, like in Lucky Town, Simon was very, very used to there's a ham and there's potatoes and that's it, and it's not, you know, it's just a small meal for a small group of people. And then he's got this huge Italian sprawling family where everybody brings things, and then there's the antipasta, and then there are the desserts, and then, you know, and it's like, there are only, you know, 30 of us here who's going to eat all of this. Don't worry about it, we got it covered. You know, so the food piece becomes kind of part of that holiday indulgence. And I think it's a wonderful piece to add experientially in these, because we all feel okay about, you know, having a few extra here at the holidays. So might as well indulge with our imagination. What else do you love about holiday books and movies as an author or a reader that we haven't covered yet?
We covered a lot.
We covered a lot, yeah. Snow, we like snow.
Snow.
I'm gonna mail you some this year, Audrey.
You know, sometimes it's kind of a fish out of water thing with having a holiday where the contrast is that there isn't any snow. The person is stuck in Florida, or the person is, you know, finds themselves under a palm tree. And part of
we
Christmas
have that in this series, Vicky. We're in Arizona.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where I'm sure we put a Christmas hat on a.
It was a cowboy hat.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well, cowboy hat with Christmas feel.
Our head coach in that one was originally from somewhere in Canada, Toronto. I can't remember exactly now where he's from. That was 1,800 books ago. But yeah, that fish out of water where you come from Canada and then you move to, you know, Arizona, and it's 110 degrees and your Christmas tree is a cactus, you know. So he was very much feeling that. Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, you have folks in the Southern Hemisphere who it's summer for Christmas. And so, you know, that's coming up actually in a group project that I'm in where it's all supposed to have a winter theme, and somebody spoke up and said, New Zealand here, it's summer. So
maybe one of the things we haven't really touched on yet is the idea of, you know, Christmas time is it's a break, it's a holiday, and it's also the end of the year. It's about going into the start of a new year. And so it's really a time where I think people can reassess, you know, step out of their life and sort of get an eagle eye view and reassess where they're at and what they want. And that's why I think, you know, like if you know, for example, say you're going home for Christmas, back to the small town where you grew up, or, you know, you're just taking time off work, or you're going on holiday, but it's that time to reassess. And I think it allows an opening for new things to begin, and for you to just take stock of your life. And I think that can really come into holiday romances, whether it's, you know, the guy the workaholic who's going back home for the holidays, or, you know, the road trip or whatever. But, you know, it's about new beginnings, I think, which is really, you know, plays in well with romance.
Definitely. Well, folks, this has been a lot of fun. We're actually coming up to the end of our time here, but I want to make sure we go around and have everybody talk about where people can find you online, and even more importantly, if you have a new Christmas book coming out or a new Christmas themed project, let us know. RJ, start with you.
Okay, well, you can find me at rjscott.co.uk. And all my information is on there. This Christmas, I'm part of a big charity anthology. More news on that later. Cupcakes and Christmas is my Christmas book, which is set around the Great British Bake Off. I have Gideon, which is a boyfriend for hire book. So that's the fake boyfriend trope, going home for Christmas. So it's got quite a few tropes. It's got dogs in it as well. And then I've got a book that I'm not sure when this interview goes live. When does this interview go live?
It'll be mid-fall, plenty of time for people to pre-order.
Okay, no, it's not. But we've got a new book in the Railers series that we have for Christmas with Vicky, and I think that's it. Rachel, is that it? I think that's it.
This year.
This year, yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Eli, how about you?
Well, let's see. I have a story in the Christmas anthology that RJ mentioned. I think it's called Gifts for the Season. Is that right?
Gifts for the Season, yeah.
So I have a short story in there called 12 Days of UPS, which is actually set during COVID, and involves delivery men. So, and then I'm currently working on getting 3 audiobooks done for Christmas. Some of my back Christmas stories that I haven't had in audio, I decided I was going to really try to focus on that this year. So I've got Tristan Wright is reading Angels Sing. He's wonderful, a wonderful narrator. And I just cast a British guy to read Christmas Angel, which is from the series. It's set in late 1700s England, in London. And so I finally found the right narrator for that. So I'm excited about getting that one out. And then Desperately Seeking Santa, which never had an audiobook. So I'm focusing on getting those 3 out for December. And then just a Christmas anthology, yeah.
How about you, Vicky?
Oh, excuse me. Well, I'm also part of the Christmas anthology with RJ and Eli. Keep an eye on me, Rachel. Make sure I don't forget anything. Yes, RJ and I do have something coming out for the Railers with a Christmassy theme. And my second book in my Laurel Highlands holiday series, The Christmas Pundit, will be coming out around December 9th. So that should be enough to get me through this Christmas season. I think, as it stands.
And I'm going to have a Kings of the Mountain story, The Christmas Spirit, in a multi-author big winter giveaway that comes out actually just past Christmas, the beginning of January. So I'm excited about that. Thank you all so much for being with us today. And thank you for watching and listening. There'll be a lot more holiday goodness and holiday romance here on ConTinual. So we'll see you online.